Welcome to the Ignite Your Passion podcast. My name is Raul Villacis. I'm here with my queen.
Yes, so happy to be here. My name is Vivian Villacis.
So today we're going to talk about the biggest lessons that a father could teach his kids about relationships. I think that, in honor of Father's Day this weekend, I think we're going to talk about, what we learned from our father, what we learned, raising kids. And at the end of the day, there is not enough parents talking about raising kids and their relationships. And we talk about raising good kids staying out of trouble, but what are we teaching our kids about relationships? How can we shape them and help them have healthy relationships?
I also think that, I know you say that, right? So happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I don't think that there's enough celebration when it comes to men, all the things that they do, because I know that for any relationship to thrive, there has to be that father figure. And I really want to applaud the dads out there, the ones that are really showing up, the ones that are trying to show up, the ones that are working on showing up, and any little bit helps. And I know, like, when I get to witness men and how they show up, it changes everything, like the whole dynamic. So if you're listening to this, I want to applaud you for the work that you're doing, whether it's something small or something big, because I know that it has a change in everyone's life.
If you're a father out there, just know that you play a huge, important role in people's lives, not just lives of your kids and your wife, but there's so many people looking up to fathers. I think that right now we have a pandemic of not enough father figures. We live in a world where a lot of young men are growing up without a father. A lot of young people don't have a father figure. So if you're a father right now, if you're doing the work, if you're putting the best effort forward, I salute you. Keep doing it. You're not alone in this battle. I'm rooting for you, and I know that eventually you're going to see the benefits by raising kids that will be good humans and good citizens.
So because it is Father's Day, I wanted to ask you a couple questions. And for those of you who are just tuning in, we actually have two children, and they are 19 and 20 years old. Just so hard to believe, because I still look at pictures of them, and just like, where did time go? Like, they were such babies, and all of a sudden they're out there in the world. And for me, it's been such an honor to just see you the way that you have raised our children. And I know, like, I've done a big part of it, but I know that if I didn't have you, they wouldn't be where they are. So I was thinking of a couple questions that I could ask you, and I didn't tell you the questions that I wrote because I want them to be from your heart, and you always speak so beautifully. So I know that however you want to answer them is totally fine. There is no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong.
Let's go.
And I'm not putting you in the hot seat. It's just something that I think that could get you to think, for those of you listening, like, where are you in your relationship as a father? And I think that sometimes we take a lot of the things for granted. And if you're listening to this, know that, again, the role that you play is so important. So I want to ask you, how did your relationship with your own father influence you in the man that you are today, and how it influenced you raising your own children?
Well, I think that I wouldn't be the father I am today if it wasn't for my dad. I look back and I remember all the times and all the headaches that I gave my dad, all the headaches that I gave my mom. I was one of those kids that was constantly in trouble. I came into this country when I was 11 years old. I went through phases of being a thug, being in a gang, drinking every single weekend. I just imagine, like, what it was like to raise somebody like me. Like, I used to leave Friday night. I won't come back home until Sunday morning. There was no cell phones.
Oh my gosh,
there was no Life 360. Like, I remember my dad just every single time that I came in, he'll look at me as like, almost as a sign of relief that I was home. But at the same time, a sign of like, I want to beat the shit out of you because you put me through this, right? So what I learned from my dad is having a tough love, because he didn't let me get away with a lot of this stuff. He actually let me know, and he was very stern, but at the same time, he was always, it was love. It was love. I never felt like he was judging me. I always felt like he wanted the best for me. It was guiding me into, like, you're better than this.
That's right.
Like, you're better than this. But the main thing that I've learned from my dad is don't complain. Don't complain. There's nothing for you to complain about. For you guys who don't know, I lost my father about 5 years ago. And he had muscular dystrophy. And I saw him the last 20 years, like him decaying, his muscles getting weaker,
Yeah.
eventually being in a wheelchair, and my mother taking care of him. But seeing him, and the worst day in my life wouldn't compare to his best day. So when I used to have a bad day, pick up the phone and talk to him, it felt like there's nothing to complain about. So when I look at how he raised me, the kid that I was, and what he went through in life, my dad had it rough.
Yeah.
I mean, from raising my brother and I to getting sick and having muscular dystrophy, but I never saw him complain. He never complained about us. He never complained about his health. He never complained about life. He always had a positive look about life, and that helped me realizing that no matter what happens, you have health, you have your family, you could figure things out.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for saying that. So one of the things that I feel like from your dad and my dad as a father figure, one of the things that once that energy is in the household, there's this sense of respect. Because I know like with your dad, for instance, like he was, his health wasn't the best, yet everybody respected him. So we knew that your mother knew, you guys knew, like you knew that there was going to be a consequence, even though you were out partying doing your thing, there was going to be a consequence because your dad was still there. And I think that's something that, even with me, like looking back at my dad, because he was there, I knew that there was respect that I had to have, even though maybe when I was younger, like I didn't have it. But a father figure, when it's in the household, when it's part of someone's life, a child's life, there's just this sense of like fear, a little bit of a lot of fear for me when I was growing up, and the sense of respect. And that's something that as a father figure, like it changes the whole dynamic of a household.
One thing that my father always did is he always checked up on us. He always would call us. I mean, I have tons of, like, my Daily Edge messages started with him. Like, he used to send me a daily message every single day.
That's cute.
That he was like the original Daily Edge guy. So, like, for me, when I started looking at how, like, his being an immigrant, coming to this country, leaving everything behind, there's so many lessons. Like, I could never be as good of a father as he was to me.
Yeah.
Because I would never experience that hardship that he experienced. So for me, fatherhood became a lot easier by seeing all the struggles that he went through. So I think as fathers, we want our kids to become better than us. But the mistake that a lot of fathers make is that we think that our kids are going to go through the same challenges as we're going through. Especially as immigrants, we think like, well, they have everything. Like, what else do they want, right? So the reality is that your kids are going to go through different challenges.
Yeah.
Like, my father went through a challenge that I would never go through, but I'm going through challenges that maybe my son is never going to go through. So there is always different levels. And he's going to go through challenges that his son is going to go through. So as we continue to grow, I heard somebody say, I think it was Patrick McDavid, like, your ceiling is your kid's floor. Like, so my father, he paid the price so he could raise his ceiling. So now it became my floor. So now for me, my kids are going to have different set of problems. So I don't want them to have the same problems that I had. I want them to be smarter, to take care of themselves, to raise their kids better than I raised them.
So you saying that, I think that a lot of households, sometimes parents, or especially fathers, they see their kids and they're thinking like, well, I went through this problem, so I'm going to almost discipline you a certain way. And I think that's one of the things that you've done beautifully, is that you have adapted to the changes of our own children. Like, you can't be the same way that your father was to you, to your children, because generations change, because social media changes, all these things change. So like, if you're not changing and adapting to the way that your kids are, then you're kind of just staying stagnant in a certain way. Like, you're running the same pattern that's probably not working. And I think that's one of the things that you've done beautifully with our kids. When it comes to communication, when it comes to be consistent the way that you show up, they know, like, there is a standard of the way that you show up, and there's no bending.
I think for a man, having kids changes you. Because now you have to be accountable. You're not just accountable for yourself. Now there's somebody else that you're going to mess up their lives if you don't get your shit together.
Yeah.
So I remember when I had my son, the first time that I held him, it was a sense of responsibility, pride, but at the same time fear. Like, what if I mess this up? What if I don't guide him the right path, right? So what I look at first is the relationship that you and I have. And I looked at my father and my mother. They had a solid relationship. And I knew that no matter what happened, I could count on them. So I wanted to instill that in their kids, but I knew that you and I have to get our shit together first.
Yeah.
So when I started looking at the dynamics of other people, how they raise their kids, the kids used to always pin the parents against each other. And I used to do that to my mom too, but they were solid.
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't say we're solid. Like my mom always gave in to us. So my
Okay.
dad was always kind of like the pleaser, right? So when we started raising kids, I told you, like, you and I have to be on the same page.
That's right.
So,
and we weren't always on the same page.
We were not, but at least in the front end, they
Yeah.
see that we're on the same page.
Yes.
Behind the closed doors, you
Oh.
and I will go to war
Yes,
together, right?
Yes, yes.
But
Because I think that's one of the biggest conflicts when you are raising kids, right? It's like the way that you say
biggest
things,
fights, the
and
biggest
what
fights
I
that
say.
you and I've
things.
had.
Yes, yes.
But the relationship that kids see
Mm-hmm.
is a relationship of their parents.
Yeah.
So I read a book that your daughter is going to marry the mirror of the father, and the son is going to look for a woman that's a mirror of the mother, like the characteristics subconsciously,
What
right?
a responsibility.
And I look at that now as like, if you look at how like the
God.
girlfriend that our son has, right? It's attracting those qualities. And my daughter right now is looking for, a partner, and she has a high standard because she's looking for somebody who's going
Right.
to live up to it. So,
And she's having a challenge even looking for that.
so I think like for me, what I teach my kids, especially my daughter, is to help her understand that she's not going to marry. Like what she sees right now is Raul 50 years in the making. It's almost unfair for her to judge a guy
Every
at that
relationship.
standard.
Wow.
She has to look for somebody who has potential.
Okay.
Because I think that a lot of young women right now, they're having a hard time. If they have good fathers, they're measuring up to the father figure, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The reality is that you and I, when we got married, we were 21 years
21.
old,
Yeah.
right? So you bought into my potential, and I bought into the potential that you saw in me. So I was buying into
Wow.
that.
Yeah, but and if I'm being honest, it's just well, thank you for saying that because it gives me the sense of like awareness. Because when I see Abigail and the young men that she wants to date, I'm like, no, 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 no. Even though I may see something good in them, it's just to me, it's like I can't, like, it's my little girl, right? But now that you say that, yes, it does take a lot of work, and that's what relationships are. But I think we forget that. We feel like, okay, well, my daughter, she deserves the best. Like, I just want like the perfect
But
man
you're
to come
tougher
to
than
the-
me when it comes to daughter
relationship.
dating.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
The guys come in, and I see the potential. I scare the shit out of them just to make sure that they know. But you're very tough. You tell Abigail like the yes, no, like.
I tell her how it is. But now that you say that, maybe just like I should have a little bit more awareness of like, okay, where can I be more graceful when it comes to this young man of like, okay, maybe they could live up to that standard. But it's just, ultimately it's like how the foundation that you have at home is the confidence that you're going to give your kids to be out in the world. And I think, again, that's something that you've done so amazing for our kids, is giving them the confidence of knowing whose they are and who they are. And that's, one of the biggest things right now in the world, because children are not being raised confident in who they are. They're looking everywhere else, and if they go out into the world and look for that confidence, they get lost. Like, the examples that they have out there are just not the best standards right now.
So this is what I tell my daughter. I tell my daughter, when you find a partner, make sure that the partner knows your value. You cannot bend to try to prove somebody your value. You have to know your value first, because if you're waiting for that person to value you, you're already lost.
Yeah.
So you have to believe that you are the prize. As a woman, you're bringing value into the relationship. You're the multiplier. So I tell my daughter to find a partner that you could actually help him multiply who he is, expand who he is, right? Then my son, I tell him that he has to figure it out where he wants to go and sell where he's going. Because see, there's a different sell. My daughter is
Looking
looking to attract a partner that she's going to be able to help multiply. My son is looking for a partner that is going to help him, like
enhance who he is.
So he has to sell the vision.
Yeah.
My son has to sell the vision. My son has to tell him where we're going, who I'm becoming, like what are my dreams, what are my aspirations.
Yeah.
My daughter has to look for somebody who has a vision, so she could actually anchor that vision and make that vision because that's what you did for me. Like I had a vision, but you expanded my vision.
Yeah.
I had an idea of what I wanted, but you expanded. It's like Jay-Z and Beyonce. Beyonce says he upgraded Jay-Z, right? So you upgraded me because I was thinking too small.
That's funny.
When you came into my life, it was like, okay, I need to think bigger.
Yeah.
So that's what women do for men.
We want so much out of life.
You expand, you multiply.
Yeah.
So, but my son, if he doesn't have a vision, and he doesn't have a woman that believes in his vision, then they're gonna be limited.
Yeah, I love that. We could talk for this for hours, but let's go on to the next question. It's funny because this is kind of like what the next question is. What is the biggest responsibility a father has when it comes to preparing his children for, nowadays, I think it's something that it's not a conscious decision making. Like, you become a parent. It's like, okay, I'm a parent, but it's so intentional to be a parent. Like, I know for us, like at the beginning, we waited a long time to have children. Our first child we had when we were 30. I was 30. And then after that, it was just like so intentional about prayer, so intentional about education, so intentional about what we said and we did at home. And I think a lot of the times when it comes to our children, we're just like, okay, we leave it up to chance, just like in relationships. So for you, like, what sense of responsibility did you have? And like, okay, I'm going to prepare them this way.
So I look at how I grew up, and I had a lot of freedom. I have way too much freedom, and by the grace of God, I'm here because I have so much freedom that I should not even be here, right?
Yeah.
And when I had my kids, I needed to have that sense of protecting them without suffocating them. So, like for me, the responsibility is to protect them from the things that they may not be exposed, but they'll be ready to be exposed on. What am I talking about? The first time I learned about porn and sex and all this stuff, I think I was in 6th grade. This guy showed me porn.
Magazines?
I was 6th grade, and he showed me, like, they started showing me, like, and I was afraid. I don't know, like, what to make of this, right?
Uh-huh.
I remember that. It's like I never got exposed to that.
Yeah.
So when my kids won't have that problem because they're like, the phone is right there. It's available. So my job is to protect them the way that they see things, to anticipate, because my father never talked to me about sex. My father never talked to me about...
To educate them on it.
To educate them on what are they going to experience. I talked to them about sex, talked to them about drugs, I talked to them about guns. Pretty much, I became like their bully that they didn't have bully. I had bullies when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So I kind of like figured out, like at a young age, that I needed to get tough, right? Our kids went to private school. You drove them to school, they never took the bus. So my responsibility is to prepare them for life, to really give them those experiences in a contained environment where you could talk about, hey, these kids are going to show you porn, these kids are going to show you drugs, these kids are going to tell you this. So then almost to the point where they're not surprised, because I was surprised. I didn't know what it was, right? I didn't know what drugs was. Like people were smoking weed. I didn't know what that was. But my mother did scare the shit out of me. She told me, like, you get into drugs, and you're gonna be homeless. You're gonna be living on the streets,
Yeah.
and you're gonna lose everything. So I never even tried any drug because I was so scared, like, of ending up like that's what the conditioning comes in.
Yeah.
So, but it was out of fear. Like, my responsibility is to educate my kids so they don't make decisions based out of fear. They make decisions based on, like, is this gonna be good for me? Is this who I am? Am I following the crowd? Is this something that's gonna serve me? Because I didn't have that. It was like, for me, it was like, hey, here's the world. You came to America, figure shit out.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to speak English. I had to learn how to navigate the culture. So as an immigrant, like, I kind of grew up in the streets, figuring things out. My job is to make my kids street smart without being in the streets. That's why I looked at it.
I like that. Okay. And like, as a parent, we don't have a manual to tell us like what to do, what not to do. And I think we figure this out as we evolve, as we do life. But I think there needs to be a sense of intention when it comes to raising our children, and the intention, especially of the relationship, like you said before. And I think that was, now that you're saying that, is such a key thing, such a foundation for us as we raise our kids. The last question that I had is, I kept thinking about your dad, and I know that you are always feeling his love and his energy, and he's left you with so much. And if you could go back and thank your dad for something that he left you with, or something that he did, what is the one thing that you would say thank you for? Because this is the man that I am today.
I'll say unconditional love. I mean, when I remember coming home drunk one day, crashing my car, and like I until this day I don't know how I survived that crash. I was in the highway, I was drunk coming in at 3 a.m, and I saw a truck behind me that I fell asleep at the wheel, and then I got up and there was a truck behind me, and my car did a 360, and I saw this truck coming this way, and I thought I was gonna die. I said, "This is it." I just said a prayer, and by the grace of God, that truck went around, missed me, and then my car hit the divider head on, and my car was too old, didn't have any airbags. I hit my face on the steering wheel. I had like a bloody nose and a bloody lip. But then I turned the car on, and the car turned on, and I drove the car all the way home.
God.
And then back in those days, there was tolls, and I had to pay the toll. The guy looked at me like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, I'm going to an accident. I'm going back home. So I got all the way home. My father came, and he just hugged me and said, "You okay?" And then the next day, he was out there fixing my car. Like fixing my car. Like, he would like, and that's like, my son crashes the car. I'm gonna like, that's the part where I understand now being a father. I didn't understand then, like the pain that I was putting my father through.
Yeah, he's probably like banging the car instead of banging you.
My father never hit me.
Yeah.
My mother hit the shit out of me. She beat me like a slave.
Yeah.
But my father never touched me. He didn't have to.
Yeah.
It was more of a power move. It was more of a disappointment. So my fear was disappointing him.
Yeah.
And I remember when that was the time that I realized that he had unconditional love for me. Because he was so happy that I survived that he didn't care about the car.
Yeah, as any parent. That's so sweet. Yeah, he did have a lot of unconditional love. I think I don't know, you say about cars, and I just kept thinking about how Abigail and Alejandro, when we used to take long trips, which we didn't do often, and kids start to ask you, they're like, "Okay, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" Because they don't see what you see in the driver's seat. Like, you know what your destination is. You know where you're going. And as a father, it is your job to know where you're going. As a father, it's your job to have a clear destination as to where you're taking your family. They will be annoying. They will be behind you. There will be times when you want to give up. There'll be times when you want to squeeze them and tell them to be quiet. But as a father, I think you've done a beautiful job guiding our children and getting them to the final destination, because you know where you're going. And I think that's the beautiful thing of being a father, of leading, of loving, of being the man that you need to be. Is like, you've been at the wheel and you've had this clear vision as to where we're going, and you've taken our kids there.
The one thing that I want to do better with my kids is to help them see what's possible. Mm-hmm. My father always believed in me, and he planted the seed. I remember now, I think it started with my grandfather. My grandfather used to call me at a young age. He used to call me a king. Mm-hmm. Here comes my king. Here comes the king. Like, you're the because I was the first grandson for my father, my mother's side of the family. Like, I was the first everything. So they always treated me like I was royalty. So they planted the seed of what a king is, right?
Yeah.
And my father was planted that seed as well. But my job with my son, my daughter, is to show them what it's like to think like a king, to dream like a king, to have the work ethic of a king. So that for me was like a big distinction. It's like, okay, my father planted the seed of what could be. I need to show my kids by proof, by the results, by the work ethic
that you do,
that is actually possible. Because I know that from where I am, my son and my daughter are going to take it to a whole different level. And that's all we want for our kids. Is the biggest challenge that we have as parents is to help them see who they could become. And our relationship is going to be the mirror of who they're going to marry and the partners that they're going to choose. So I made that decision. Like, we need to get our shit together
100%.
before it's at an early age for them, so they could see what's possible to have a healthy relationship versus having them have drama with the
Your
partners.
kids are going to do not what they see you do, but what you do. And I think for us, for a long time, that's been like this reminder of like, okay, who am I being right now for me, and how I have this effect on everyone else around me. I know for me, like my dad would never really watch our show, but he's still alive. And I just, I'm so thankful that I had a father in my life. I am so thankful that now I have a heavenly father that guides me. And then I feel like I'm so blessed to still have my dad here on earth and my heavenly father that I could look up to, because there was no feeling in the world when you could surrender into your father's arms, into your husband's arms, into your heavenly father. Like, it's just like no other. So pray for the dads out there. It is not easy, but may you continue to do the work that you need to do in order to show up and be the best version of you.
So I want to end with, I read this morning, I've been reading the Bible for the past year. My son gave me a Bible last year for my birthday, and I completed the reading every single morning.
Nice.
And this morning I read the passage where Jesus was telling his disciples how to pray, because they asked him, how do you pray? He told them how to pray, but he said, you have to ask and you shall receive. Mm-hmm. And people think like just asking like is enough, but then he continued, then seek and you shall find. So first you have to ask, you have to get clear, and then you have to start seeking. Where is God giving me feedback? Mm-hmm. The third one, what a lot of people get wrong, is knock and the door will be open. So in order for us to ask, we have to be willing to seek, and we have to be willing to do the work and knock. That takes action. But the part that impressed me the most this morning was when he said, let me kind of go a little bit deeper. Like, if you had a son and he asked you for bread, will you give him a rock? And this disciple was like, no, we give him bread. I said, okay, so you being a earthly father, your kids ask you for bread, you give them a rock. What more is the heavenly father, when you ask, will give you more than what you want? So that really hit me this morning when we realized that we have to ask our heavenly father. We have to ask with conviction, knowing that he's always going to take care of us. We have to seek the feedback, seek wisdom, seek understanding. Yeah. But then it all comes down to us. We have to be willing to knock on doors, do the work, show up. Yeah. So Father's Day, happy Father's Day. I salute every single man that's a father. I know it's not easy, especially in this world that is constantly giving us challenges. If you're in the battlefield as a father, I salute you. And I want to tell you that you are more than enough. Yeah. And you have to believe with every single cell in your body that your Heavenly Father is giving you exactly what you need to grow and level up. So if you found value in this podcast, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, babe. It's been amazing.
I love you.
Learn it, live it, experience it.
Love life.
Love life.